All right, here we go. Today we're going to talk about the 80-20 prepping, what that is, and how we do it. So the 80-20 rule, otherwise or also known as the Pareto principle. Basically, it says 80% of your outcomes or outputs result from 20% of causes or inputs. So you can look at that from a few different ways. 20% of all the causes, so all the hazards, all the bad things that could happen, 20% of those cause 80% of your issues. Or you could say, well, if I do the right 20% of things, that'll handle 80% of the problems. So in prepping, being 80% prepared can be achieved by focusing on the most critical 20%, getting the most bang for our buck. Which actions give me the biggest returns? So let's break it down to critical functions. You always want to look at that. Don't worry about all these other things that are going on. There's so many things you can prep for. Focus about what do I need to do? I need to breathe. I need to have shelter. I need to drink, eat, be secure, have communications. There's some financial concerns. And it's basically your rule of threes, right? 3 minutes without air, 3 days without, or 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. So you break that down, go into those, and then look for commonalities between all those needs. And there will be some. Let's dig some deeper here. Do you feel overwhelmed? There's so much information, so much data right now. Go on the internet, Google everything, and you'll get all this stuff coming in. How do I prepare? What do I need to do? 100 things you need, all these different items. Well, you don't need barter items if you've got your basics taken care of. What do you need to barter for if you've got the items that you need? You might say, well, I'll have bullets so I can trade them for food. Just stock food. I'll have gold so I can trade it for bullets. Stock bullets. It's cheaper than gold. Not that I have anything against gold. So if you don't know where to start, the solution is to start. Take the first step. Stick to the basics. My basketball coach always said, we may not be the biggest, the fastest, the most skilled, but we're going to be really, really good at the basics. We focus on the 20%, just the basics, boxing out, free throws, taking a charge. If you can do those things well, we'll probably win 80% of our games by focusing on the basics, not all the fancy alley-oops and all those things. You'll be ahead of the majority of people, and you'll feel better and calmer. So the basics: air, water, food, shelter, security, and your skills. I need to breathe. Well, what could disrupt my breathing? Well, there could be contaminants in the air, whether it's an infectious disease. There could be smoke, pollen, dust. All of those different things can inhibit my breathing. Simple solution, one we're familiar with: N95 masks. They don't cost very much. Keep one in your car, one in your backpack, your briefcase, your purse, your jacket pocket, at the office, right? If you have to evacuate and there's contaminants in the air, put it on. There's a lot more advanced and expensive things you can do to really help with your breathing, but not right now. We're going to keep it super simple. I need the drink. Where do I get my water from? Well, I go to the tap, I turn the tap, water comes out. Okay, what if it doesn't? Whether that's from a city, a municipal supply, or a well. If the municipal pump stations lose electricity, you won't have water. If there's a water main break, you won't have water. If your well pump dies, you won't have water. If you lose electricity, you won't have water. Maybe you say, well, I got bottled water. That's a good backup, right? If you turn the tap and nothing comes out, you go to the fridge, you take a bottle of water out, or under the counter. Take some 2-liter pop bottles, put water in them, freeze them. Now, if the electricity does go out and you lose both your refrigeration capability and your water, you take one of those ice block bottles out, put it in your fridge. That'll help keep your perishables cool. And as it melts, you'll have water. So the things you can do for water is you either have extra water stored, bottles, jugs, tanks, barrels, whatever it is. You want to be able to filter water if you can find a source, but you're not sure if it's of its quality. So maybe a life straw. Life straws are great because they're also portable. So if you have to bug out, you can stop at a puddle or at a river or something like that and have a drink. You don't have to carry a ton of water if you've got a filtration device with you. Or you can chemically purify it or treat it. So bleach. You should have some on hand. Again, everything you get should have double duty, right? So you have bleach on hand, you can disinfect with it, and you can treat your water. I need to eat. Well, don't worry about getting a whole bunch of expensive freeze dried, dehydrated, um, military rations, MREs, all that stuff. Get a little bit extra of what you normally eat. If you like Planters peanuts, get an extra container of peanuts so they're on hand. You like Mr. Noodle? Get a couple extra packs of Mr. Noodle. Throw an extra pack of hot dogs in the freezer. Some extra cans of fruit or beans, especially things that you don't need electricity or heat. Open a can of beans, especially if it's a pull top. Now you don't even need a can opener. Pull top can of tuna, the twist open with its own little twist opener, Spam, things like that. Get a couple extra cans. Start with building up to 3 days of food. So if you think, okay, well, I would eat 1 can of Spam a day, build up to 3 cans. 3 extra packs of Mr. Noodle, 3 extra granola bars. Now you've got a meal and a snack for 3 days. Then build up to 2 weeks. Get things you normally eat, then they won't go bad. You know how to prepare them. You know you like them. There, food covered. I need shelter. Well, your house is your primary, right? Your house, your apartment. Maybe you live in your vehicle. Whatever that is, that's your primary. What's your backup? Well, you might have a tent. Maybe you like going camping. Great. So you've got a tent, so you've got some backup shelter. And if you have to bug out and camp along the way to either a secondary location, whether it's your bug out location or to a friend's place, wherever that is, your tent can be used for that. If you lose heat in the winter, you can pitch your tent inside your house to make a smaller area that's easier to heat. Could be a tarp. You can use that to cover your wood pile, to keep stuff dry outside, to collect rain. Tarps have lots of purposes. Could also be shelter. A bivvy, right? Just big enough for your sleeping bag. A hammock. Well, maybe if you have a hammock, now you don't need a ground mat because you can be up off the ground. A sleeping bag, a good jacket. Those are parts of shelter, right? If the weather's poor and you've got a really good jacket, you might be able to survive overnight even without a tent. So take care of your shelter. I need to be secure. First thing everybody should do is reinforce the strike plate on their door. In the picture there, you can see the little tiny screws that come with the strike plate. They barely go into that little thin piece of wood. When I was in the fire department, we'd kick in a lot of doors. Go get some 3.5-inch construction screws. Don't cost very much. Take the little screw out, put the big screw in. Now that screw will go right through into the 2x4, right into the stud. That'll give you a lot more security. Do that. Install motion lights if you can. Helps you to see, and it scares off criminals. So again, all these things do double duty. It's good to have some screws around too, in case you need to quickly throw something together, like something for someone to step on if they're nasty, or to build something. So have a few extra screws on hand. Have a defensive weapon. Now, whether that's a knife, bear spray, pepper spray, firearm, an axe. Again, think multi-purpose. So if you have an axe, now you can split wood with it. You can use it when you go camping, right? You can use the back end, the flat end of it as a hammer. And you can use it as a defensive weapon if you need to. Not just against people. Maybe it's a rabid or vicious animal, right? A multi-tool. It's got a saw blade, a knife blade, pliers, all kinds of things on it. So again, think multi-purpose. And that helps with your security. Communications. What's important? You need a radio so you can get updates, get information. Just about everybody's got their phone, right? A cell phone. So you can communicate via voice, via text, via different apps. You can get information from apps. You can download and store documents on your phone. It's got a flashlight on your phone. Maps, GPS, right? So it's a good multi-purpose tool. And if you're going to get one of the crank-powered radios, they're multi-purpose as well. Some of them are crank and solar. They have AM and FM channels. You can charge your cell phone or other devices from them with the crank. It's got a flashlight. Some have an audible siren on them. So again, think multi-purpose, and they don't cost very much. Financial. You've got to have some cash on hand. Have a few bucks in your wallet or in your purse. Keep a little bit in your house. So if, all the ATMs lose power or something goes on like that, your credit cards don't work, um, you've got some cash, and do yourself a big favor, set up an emergency fund and put some money into it. Skills and training, very, very important. One, if you have to bug out, they come with you pretty easy if you got your skills. Pretty hard for people to take them away. You can't lose them. Well, you can forget them, but you can't actually physically lose them. So first aid, very, very good. I've done lots of first aid training over the years, and it comes in handy all the time. Basic maintenance, know how to do basic maintenance stuff on your vehicles, stuff around the house. Get a little bit handy, learn how to do some things. Physical fitness, that's part. Maintain your body, right? Stay fit. It'll help with your overall health. It'll help with your finances because you spend less on healthcare, and you'll be fitter and better able to handle both just fun things that come up in life and serious things if things get out of control. Multi-purpose bonuses. So always think multi-purpose. Again, you're going to store water. Don't just take a bunch of water jugs and put them in the cupboard. Take some bigger bottles. Don't fill them all the way up so they don't burst. Freeze them. Again, that helps with the freezer. The fuller freezer is more efficient. It'll help with your keeping things cool if you lose power. And you still have your water. LifeStraw. So, or a filtration device like that, something that's portable. If you got a bug out, you can take it with you. Bleach, you can use it for cleaning, disinfecting, and treating your water. Wind up radio, if it's multi-purpose, you can charge things. It's got a flashlight, radio, siren. Multi-purpose tool. The multi-tools have lots of functionality on them. A tent. Again, you can use it outdoors if you have to bug out from your primary, or in your primary if the problem is that you have to stay warmer and you got to make a smaller room. An emergency fund and cash on hand. So many things can come up. These items, these things, these skills, this mindset, again, you want to focus on that 20%. If you just had these things that we just talked about, a little bit of water, a little bit of food, cash on hand, multi-tool, some basic training, that 20% that you just focused on of these things will be able to handle, I would think, well in excess of the 80% of things that come at you. So lots of things. Again, you lose, if you've got a flashlight, a wind-up flashlight and one on your phone, well, you lose electricity, you've got light still. Your multi-tool can help with all kinds of things. You've got your water. It doesn't matter why you lost the water. It only matters that you lost water. You don't care if it's a terrorist attack, electrical failure, water main break, whatever that is, you just know you need water. Again, that's a critical process. Focus on the critical processes. So again, these 20% of things will do you in good stead for more than 80% of the hazards, causes, and impacts that you'll encounter. In summary, keep it super simple. You don't need all the fancy stuff. 14 different knives. Now, I like knives. I like guns. I like money. I like having food on hand, all that stuff, but keep it simple. The basic things. Focus on the basic things, and every single event that you encounter, no matter how extreme, from an asteroid strike to an EMP, a nuclear attack, terrorist attack, wildfire, those functions we just talked about, I need to breathe, I need shelter, I need to drink and eat, and I need to be secure. You're going to need those things in every single event. If you've got those covered, you're well on your way. All right, I hope you like this. Share and subscribe. More to come soon.